Abina Super Absorbent Disposable Underwear. Available at Independent Living, free samples in store, delivery online. Rising above physical challenges, we can help you do it.
Hey truck, how those Duracell Optimum batteries working out? Now that is serious power. Try Duracell Optimum, our next generation of power.
Another quality product from the Caramed Group Consumer Division.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Trans-Jam highways. The T-Tag system reduces the amount of cash handled at our toll plazas and makes it safer for our staff and motorists at the toll booths. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost efficient, and is safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. T-Tag packages are discounted by 50% down to $1,250, including a $500 toll credit from now until September 5th.
Hey truck, how those Duracell Optimum batteries working out? Now that is serious power. Try Duracell Optimum, our next generation of power.
Another quality product from the Caramed Group Consumer Division.
Hey truck, how those Duracell Optimum batteries working out? Now that is serious power. Try Duracell Optimum, our next generation of power.
Another quality product from the Caramed Group Consumer Division.
Welcome back. The People's National Party, the PNP, has enjoyed over 50 years of power in the St. Mary's Central constituency, but those years have been painful for the Jamaica Labour Party JLP supporters who believe there's been no progress since the opposition took over. And it's from that parish that Raheem White reports.
Wednesday started out with strong support for the St. Mary's Central constituency, as both party supporters remain confident that their respective MP candidates are better fitted for the job at hand. For the PNP looking to continue its 5-decade legacy with a new contender, the supporters believe their candidate Omar Newell can continue where his predecessor left off.
Central office here, PNP. I tell us, we don't allow the foolish way going. So we want everybody could just jump in and we could vote PNP because only one way. If I'm going to a doctor for 53 years and that doctor not helping me, why should I keep going? Come on, just look into it. You have to be doing something. That's what they're in for so long.
But that's not a perspective shared by this JLP supporter, who says the PNP has not used its time wisely since being in power. She believes time has come for the PNP to leave and the JLP's Lennon Richards to take over.
Under 53 years of here and seeing everything, the PNP have not done nothing for Jamaica. Infrastructure, no period. Look on Port Maria. We are looking at Central. You're going to Central, coming into Central. You know, have a sign where every other country, parish have like, welcome to Port Maria. This is Port Maria. Port Maria just big, chocolate, nothing. Port Maria just big, underdeveloped, nothing one.
While the party supporters' views differ, one thing was common between the pair. The voting process was just taking too long.
It's slow, very slow. We're there for early this morning, for 6 o'clock.
I'm there about an hour now. Check the time now, an hour, I know we can't reach it.
About an hour and a half now, so just want to get through and just know, say, head back home. That's all. You understand? It's time to get that closing, so you know, say, escape from all of this.
As the day progresses, supporters anxiously anticipate whether the PNP will retain its stronghold on the constituency or the JLP will break that legacy and create history. Druselle Mills, CVM News.
Of course, that team effort from Raheem and Giselle. Now, although the Jamaica Labour Party has won the St. Thomas Western seat for the past 5 general elections, the new People's National Party candidate believes this election will be a turn of events. Here's Nika Lewis.
Since 2002, the JLP's MP candidate and the incumbent James Robertson has held on to the Western St. Thomas seat, defeating multiple opponents over the years, and is now looking to continue that feat against the PNP's new MP candidate, Hubert Williams. Williams, though new to this scene, is confident that he will get enough votes to shift the constituency in the PNP's favor, despite Robertson's belief that a landslide victory will be awarded to the JLP.
Well, if that's his belief, then I can't fight him for his belief, because it's a belief. I also have my belief. I believe that I will win at the end of the day. But I can tell you, none of us going to beat the other one by a large margin. It will never happen. I have that much respect for him, and I have that much respect for the process. So I know it's going to be a close race, and if you believe that it's going to be a massive win for him, at the end of the day, we're going to know. We don't even guess about that, because in a matter of hours, we're going to know who's the winner.
Robertson has disagreed with that claim, making quite opposite predictions for the elections today.
Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. The people are very positive. You know, we hear a lot of things. We see massive margins. Massive margins. Let us understand. Go back to it. Look at the roads. Look at the bridges that have been built. Look at the urban center. 2 institutions offering university degrees. The young people are looking forward to it. In November, we had 4,000 housing solutions going through the permitting application process. 9 months later, that had doubled to 8.
Both parties came out in their numbers, with numerous supporters to their aid, even assisting the elderly to cast their votes. According to Williams, the EOJ officials battled a few security challenges, which hindered the process early Wednesday, when he says the supporters still showed up for both candidates.
For Western St. Thomas, our voters are coming out. We know Andy B is very important. We know the type of power that our present member of parliament have on the day, because of his status in the community. But I also recognize my status with the local people on the ground, and it's two style and 2 different style, and it's a good match. At the end of the day, you know, I'm feeling confident. And we will see the decision that the people of Western St. Thomas make at the end of the day.
Our reporter Amoy Harriet has been in St. Catherine all day. We want to go to her now for a live update. Amoy.
Hi, Carlene. No, we're almost at the close of polls. We're just about 5 minutes. You know, it would appear most voters have already casted their ballot. Noise that you're hearing in the background right now is a supporter excitedly, you know, cheering on the close of polls. So based on the fact that we're just a few minutes away from the close of polls, everyone is pretty much in what I'd say is party mode right now. The energy in East Central and Southeastern relatively high throughout the course of today. You know, we had supporters decked in orange and green from head to toe, who flooded the streets throughout the course of the day. And notably, we realized that much of the crowd came out sometime around 2 o'clock, and the energy has been high since then. So I want to point out something that I felt was key that I noticed on the ground here in St. Catherine, and it was the fact that there were a lot of new voters. I spoke to a few of them who said that, you know, this is the first time ever casting a ballot in a general election. A lot of them, you know, were young, barely in their 20s, and, you know, they felt that it was necessary to come to the polls to make their voices and their opinion heart of the conversation, the political conversation. Now, the ultimate highlight, I'd say, of the evening, at least for the PNP supporters, was the arrival of PNP President Mark Golding outside the Nagohead Primary School in East Central. And then shortly after him passing through, we had the JLP's incumbent, Londo Terrelong, who came on location shortly after. So like I said, it's been a high energy all evening at this point. Everybody, for those who aren't tired, they're excited and ready to party into the remainder of the evening. And of course, I'll be on the ground, leaving St. Catherine now to go to the PNP headquarters to see what's happening there. And we're continuing the energy straight into the rest of the evening.
Hey, thanks, Amo. You must keep that energy going. You've got lots more to do, girl. Well, this is Decision Day 2025 here on CVM TV. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please.
The defense begins. CVM TV's exclusive coverage of the Issa Schoolboy football season begins September 6th at Stadium East Field. The Costa Cup Kingpins Comaseo start their quest for another rural area title. They battle Fogo Road on opening day at 2:30 p.m. And then Manning Cup holders Kingston College lock horns with Charlie Smith at 5 p.m. The path to schoolboy football glory begins here, and CVM TV is the place to see it happen. It's Governor Maceo versus Fogo Road at 2:30 p.m. and Kingston College versus Charlie Smith at 5 p.m. And it's live and exclusive on CVM TV.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
The Reggae Boys, the road to FIFA World Cup qualification intensifies this September. On Tuesday, September 9, the National Stadium comes alive when the Reggae Boys battle arch rivals Trinidad and Tobago, starting at 7 p.m. Gates open at 4 p.m. Tickets to VIP $10,000, grandstand is $10,000, bleachers at $2,000. Get yours now at jff.quaped.com. All the way, one team, presented by the Jamaica Football Federation. Sponsors Adidas, Ray and Nephew, Sunshine Snacks, Water, Powerade, St. Mary's, True Shake, Stewart's, and Just Fats.
Being don't feel with them, I gone with them till then sick. Say them I go back and don't funky.
Join us this week on Tourism One-on-One as we examine how the tourism sector has been performing in the post-pandemic environment with Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett.
And we welcome you back with some news just in. A group of police officers came under heavy gunfire in the vicinity of the Holy Ghost Ministries in McCook's St. Catherine. The JCF members reportedly returned fire and one man was shot. His condition remains unknown up to this time. However, the police say a firearm was recovered at the scene. The police have been unable to determine if the incident is political in nature, as the details are still unclear. And we want to join Senior Superintendent of Police, Stephanie Lindsay, at this time, head of JCF's Constabulary Communications Network, to get an update. Good afternoon, SSP Lindsay.
Hi, good afternoon.
What can you tell us about this shooting in McCook's Pen?
All right, so we can at this time confirm that there was in fact a shooting earlier today at the McCook's Pen area. The police were called to an a case of responded to a case of robbery that was reported that a group of men were in the process of robbing some persons. One person was even robbed for a motorcycle, among other things, a motorbike. So when they went there, they responded, and there was an exchange of gunfire. At the end of it, one man was found with gunshot, a firearm, an illegal firearm was seized. He was taken to hospital. I think the last update I got, I understand that it was a fatal shooting incident. So that matter is now being investigated by Indicom as well as our internal department.
SSP Lindsay?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am. I just want to ask, are you able to say if it was politically motivated?
The investigators have not said that. Based on the report that I got, they responded to a case of robbery. I didn't get from them that it was politically motivated. It was a case of robbery.
Any other reports of incidents of violence or persons challenging the police during the day so far?
No, it has been a relatively quiet day. Most right across the country, we had very minimal reports of anything. We have had a few reports, like minor reports, many conflicts between persons, but nothing major. So it has been a very good day so far. We have a number of police officers deployed across the country, managing the whole election process. So we're very satisfied with how things have worked out all day.
Thank you so much for your time, SSP Stephanie Lindsay there with us with that update. As we continue with the news at this time, attention is still fixed on several battleground constituencies in Manchester, where both major parties are working to secure or defend ground. In Manchester, Northeastern independent candidate Clive Warren for the Jamaica Progressive Party says Jamaicans should give the independent candidates a chance, arguing both traditional parties have shown too many inconsistencies over the years. He insists he is not running against either party, and even if not elected, pledges to remain consistent and committed to the people. Well, we'll take a short break right here. Please stay with us.
Everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Odyssey with Yendi. Brought to you by Grace, Stinger, and Island Services.
Join us this week on Tourism One-on-One as we examine how the tourism sector has been performing in the post-pandemic environment with Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett. Welcome back. I bet you didn't know we have sports. Well, yes, we do.
Chief Executive Officer CEO of Cricket West Indies, Chris Derrick, revealed limited financial support has been one of the causes of West Indies cricket. Derrick adds the earning power of the West Indies cricket team has diminished in recent years and enough funds are not available to keep the top players at home. He went on to say the recent meeting with two former captains, Clive Lord and Brian Lara, set a time span for the road to recovery. Now, Derrick was speaking on CVM TV Fan Central.
Education really took place on a two-way basis because there's so many people that operate outside of West Indies cricket who, you know, have their own ideas as to what needs to be done, you know, and I think it was a meeting where ideas were shared, and of course the reality of what we faced was understood better, I believe, by some of the legends who, you know, don't quite understand some of the scale of the challenges that we face. You know, for instance, one of the things I think Brian had been saying publicly, for instance, was challenging Cricket West Indies on retaining their players, doing more financially to retain their players. And when we sort of explained, he was asking the question, why, for instance, does an Australia and an England and India, why are they able to retain their players? And we, you know, had challenges with people like Nicholas Pooran, etc. And we explained the scale of, for instance, what Australia pays their players. You know, for instance, just one player on the Australian team, let's say Pat Cummings, you know, is paid a retainer, $2 million US a year by the Australian Cricket Board. Now, we will have to, that is basically the entire salary of all our retainer players on the West Indies structure, just for that one player. And so you understand the kind of the difference in scale we're talking about in terms of the earnings of an Australia versus Cricket West Indies. And I think that was an eye-opener for them. They didn't understand the kind of scale. And just looking at some of the technology and some of the facilities that are available to international players in their home countries, when you're talking about correcting batting technique deficiencies and so on, which everybody recognizes that the current crop of West Indies players do have technical deficiencies.
And that's it for our newscast for this evening. Do stay with us, though, as our results program begins right after this.
The news at 7 Wednesday, courtesy of.
Seize the next IPO opportunity seamlessly with the Sagicor e-Invest.
The countdown ends. Decision 2025 begins. Nation stands at a crossroads. Will it be continuity or change? Jamaica decides. And CVM Television is your front row seat to history. Nika Lewis and Giovanni Dennis lead our dynamic coverage, holding the pulse of the people in hand. We'll take you to the decision wall, where numbers speak louder than promises. Watch the trends shift in real time. Feel the tension rise. Miss Kitty links you with the watching audience. Former Director of Elections, Art Fisher, offers unmatched clarity. What's legal? What's political? What's at stake? From battlegrounds to strongholds. CVM reporters are live in all 14 parishes and at party headquarters. TK Dawkins, positioned at the EOJ, gives you the updates as ballots turn into outcomes, and a powerhouse panel ready to break it all down. Insight, analysis, no spin. This is more than coverage. This is Jamaica's turning point. Decision 2025. Only on CVM Television. September 3. See it happen. The defense begins. CVM TV's exclusive coverage of the ISA Schoolboy football season begins September 6 at Stadium Eastfield. La Costa Cup kingpins Gunn Maseo start their quest for another rural area title. They battle Fogo Road on opening day at 2:30 p.m. And then Manning Cup holders Kingston College lock horns with Charlie Smith 5 p.m. The path to schoolboy football glory begins here, and CVM TV is the place to see it happen. It's Garvey Marcel versus Fogo Road at 2:30 p.m. and Kingston College versus Charlie Smith at 5 p.m. And it's live and exclusive on CVM TV.
The Reggae Boys' road to FIFA World Cup qualification intensifies this September. On Tuesday, September 9, the National Stadium comes alive when the Reggae Boys battle arch rivals of Trinidad and Tobago, starting at 7 p.m. The gates open at 4 p.m. Tickets VIP $10,000, grandstand $7,000, bleachers at $2,000. Get yours now at jff.quaped.com. All the way, one team, presented by the Jamaica Football Federation. Sponsors Adidas, Ray and Nephew, Sunshine Snacks, Water, Powerade, St. Mary's, Shake, Stewart's, and Just Fats.
Being done to be with them, I can't with them till then sick. Say them I go back and don't pancake.
I'm Giovanni Dennis, and this is CVM News.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
When the first man go and go watch me son up here finals for CVM, you know.
But Moose, you can't watch it on CVM website, man.
What? The sun score.
Fairness begins here.
The Reggae Boys' road to FIFA World Cup qualification intensifies this September. On Tuesday, September 9, the National Stadium comes alive when the Reggae Boys battle arch rivals of Trinidad and Tobago, starting at 7 p.m. The gates open at 4 p.m. Tickets VIP $10,000, grandstand $7,000, bleachers at $2,000. Get yours now at jff.quaped.com. All the way, one team, presented by the Jamaica Football Federation. Sponsors Adidas, Nephew, Sunshine Snacks, Water, Powerade, St. Mary's, Shake, Stewart's, and Just Fats.
Being done to be with them, I can't with them till then sick. Say them I go back and don't pancake.
Join us this week on Tourism One-on-One as we examine how the tourism sector has been performing in the post-pandemic environment with Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett.
Decision 2025, brought to you by Duracell, Kendall, True Juice.
The
matchup. Leader of the JLP, Dr. Andrew Holness, 53 years old, MP for West Central St. Andrews since 1997. He was Minister of Education in the Bruce Golding cabinet from 2007 to 2011. This before first serving as Prime Minister from 2011 to 2012 when Bruce Golding stepped down. He is now seeking a third consecutive term as Prime Minister after 9.5 unbroken years at the helm since 2016. He goes by the moniker Brobad and more recently 1 p.m.
Hoping to prevent a third term for the JLP is the PNP challenger Mark Jefferson Golding, 60 years old, attorney at law and investment banker. He became PNP president in 2020 after a runoff with Lisa Hanna. This was just 3 years after becoming a member of parliament in 2017, replacing Omar Davies in the PNP stronghold constituency of St. Andrew South. He served as Justice Minister from 2012 to 2016 in the Portia Miller-led cabinet and has been a senator since 2007. He goes by the name or the moniker Marky G.
Now, this 2025 general election will be important not just for the country, but for the two men leading Jamaica's two major political parties. This is Mark Golding's first time at the wicket maker in the general election. Now he has a point to prove.
Indeed, Dr. Holness, a career politician of 28 years, has overcome the affable Portia Simpson Miller in 2016 and Dr. Peter Phillips in 2020. But can he do it against Mark Golding?
Holness, Golding, Golding, Holness.
Who will be Prime Minister after today? You decide.
It's Decision 2025 on CVM TV. I'm Giovanni.
And I'm Nika Lewis. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Wednesday, September 3.
The polls have now closed across the country, across the more than 14,000 polling divisions in 63 constituencies nationwide. And this is where it all begins. The business end of the day, when ballots turn into outcomes and outcomes chart the future of the nation.
This evening, we'll guide you through every twist and turn of this historic election, from the earliest leads to the nail-biting finishes. You'll see the results unfold right here in real time.
And of course, Nika, we will be joined by our team of analysts, our expert team of analysts, correspondents, reporters in the field, giving you the stories beyond the numbers.
Gio, I can already feel the tension building. This one has been talked about as one of the most competitive elections we've seen in recent years.
Absolutely, Nika, and I must add wet tension in parts, since it was raining in parts of the country today. It was cats and dogs was coming in.
Indeed.
Every constituency matters, and the mood across the country has been electric, even though it's raining in parts of the island. People turned out early and the enthusiasm was high.
And now it's all about what the numbers will tell us.
Now, let's head over to the election center for the very latest as the first boxes are counted. TK Dawkins is standing by. TK. Okay, so we'll be going to TK Dawkins at the EOJ in a short time, but first, Jordan Fort will be here at the decision wall throughout the night. Jordan, what will you be doing at the decision wall?
Well, Gio, of course, we'll be tracking the numbers as they come in right throughout the evening here on Decision 2025 on CVM TV. But first, we'll be having a particularly keen look at marginal constituencies. Now, CVM TV has outlined 20 marginal constituencies that could determine the outcome of this general election. But what exactly is a marginal constituency, where the support between the two major political parties, Gio, is so close that the seat could easily change hands between either party from one election to the next? Now, to determine our list, we applied specific criteria. Didn't just pull it out of thin air. And it's a difference of less than 10% between the top two candidates, an average margin of fewer than 1,000 votes, and performance trends measured across the 2002 to 2020 general elections. So that's 5 general elections. So you see where the numbers are playing a role in how we have decided these marginal constituencies. Now, the contest is expected to be fiercest in these constituencies, and where the path to forming the next government could very well be decided here is our first page of 20. We've outlined St. Thomas Western, St. Thomas Eastern, St. Mary Southeastern, and St. Mary Western as a marginal constituency. That one, Geo, may raise some eyebrows. St. Mary Western, won by Bobby Montague of the Jamaica Labour Party.
It's not just a marginal, it's what we call also a bellwether constituency. Jordan, what do we mean by that?
That means that whoever wins this constituency usually forms the next government. Whichever party wins, that usually has a knock-on effect in the general result of the election. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Of course, Bobby Montague, the chairman of the Jamaica Labour Party. So many people may raise their eyebrows. Oh, Bobby Montague is in trouble. Yes, we have that one as a marginal constituency.
Southeastern St. Mary as well, bellwether constituency.
Another one of those constituencies as well, and we'll be watching that one closely. St. Anne Northwestern, St. James Southern, St. James West Central. Now, this is, of course, the constituency of Marlene Malabu Fort
being challenged by
Dr. Andre Horton. Another, it's a rematch from 2020, another constituency that we consider marginal. However, Eastern as well. And that one we're keeping a close eye on. I think most of our panelists here will agree with that particular one, Hanover Eastern, as one of our marginals.
So these two as well, bellwether constituencies.
Indeed. Indeed.
Bellwether constituencies. So we are watching these closely, and we'll be coming to them throughout the night as well for more expert analysis.
Indeed, the JLP having won those two at the 2020 elections. And as we continue to go through the 20 marginals we've outlined, Hanover Western, so both Hanover constituencies, St. Elizabeth Southwestern, St. Elizabeth Southeastern, and Manchester Central.
This one, St. Elizabeth Southwestern. Current Agriculture Minister Floyd Green, current MP, also a bellwether constituency. He's being challenged by Miranda Wellington. So that one is one to watch as well as one of the bellwether constituencies.
And remember, Manchester Central had changed to the JLP in the last election. Of course, Rhoda Crawford winning that seat ahead of Peter Bunting in the last election. So we're also keeping an eye on Manchester Central.
This one is interesting because based on last year's performance of the PNP in the local government elections, based on them capturing the 4 divisions in this area, a lot of people are expecting that this one will be flipped, but it's so close, it's difficult to call. And again, this is one that we'll be watching closely through the night as well, Jordan.
And then, of course, many will question how much you put into the local government election. Clarendon Northern, Clarendon Northwestern, Clarendon Southeastern, St. Catherine Southeastern. We're watching these constituencies as well.
All right. So we will come back to look at our marginal constituencies in just a moment. But Nika Lewis will be doing something right now. Nika.
Absolutely, Gio. We now return to TK Dawkins, who is at the EOJ offices here in Kingston. TK, are you with us?
The Electoral Office of Jamaica, the hub of all things results. The buzz is beginning to get even buzzier as the polls close and the numbers will be coming in. Now, what's happening on site, on location? Of course, members of the media are here. They are in full force, ready to announce and present. To my left, now if you join me to my right, just moments ago, blank screens now lit up with what's going to be filled with numbers, maps, telling us exactly what is going on, where it's going on, and what is happening. Now, as at 3 p.m., voter turnout, 30.41%. Of course, if you are in the line, even though elections are closed at this time, if you're in the line, anyone in the line at 5 p.m., we do have to wait for those persons to vote before anything can be finalized. The boxes will be coming in, the ballots will be coming in, the numbers will be coming in, and we'll be right here to give you more.
TK Dawkins over at the EOJ. However, we now invite sentiments from home and abroad through the one and only Mrs. Kitty Wilkinson. Can you tell us a little, Kadeen, about what you'll be doing here tonight?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Nika. Well, let me just say that the diaspora plays a very important role in what goes on in Jamaica. And we want to invite all of you overseas, wherever you are in the world, to join us right here on CVM for our coverage. We will be speaking with Denise Grant. She's the mayor of Lauderhill. Alexandria Davis. She is the commissioner of Broward. And we'll also be talking to persons who are at their diaspora parties. I'll also be giving a recap of what we did this morning into afternoon in the streets of Kingston, where we went to Dillsbury, went to Mona High School. We also went to Central Kingston, where we spoke exclusively with Steve McGregor, who is contesting Donovan Williams for the seat. He won that seat back in 2020, flipped it, if you may, from the usually PNP seat that it normally is and has been for quite a number of years. And so the question is, will Steve McGregor get the seat or will Donovan Williams retain the seat? And of course, keeping everybody in tune and getting feedback from those Jamaicans who were unable to make those flights. As you may have seen, there are quite a number of flights with Jamaicans, you know, in their colors, some wearing their orange, some wearing their green. I even saw a video where there was some ringing of bells in the international airport overseas, as only a Jamaican would do. But it is quite palpable. People are excited. People are nervous. The polls have closed and the decision is now. So many persons are anxious, but we have you covered in every aspect of this election for Decision 2025.
You are watching CVM TV's live coverage of Decision 2025. Do stay with us. Lots more to come after these.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me candle any time of the day, night as well, just give me candle. Everybody can tell this good grace well, just give me candle. No fucking flavor, no parallel, talk about quality, you know we excel. Well, it's now E-N-D-E-L. Give me candle.
Another quality product from the CariMed.
Just give me candle.
I'm Peter McConnell, CEO of Trading Ticker, and here with my production team in our newest product, True Milk.
True Milk is made with 100% cow's milk from their own homegrown, naturally fed
Production team,
processed and pasteurized at their state-of-the-art factory in Buckwalk. True Milk is 100% cow's milk with no additives. True Milk is the real deal. Take it from the experts.
Move up to the best milk ever. True Milk, truly the best.
Hey, Brock, how those Duracell Optimum batteries working out? Whoa, now that is serious power. Try Duracell Optimum, our next generation of power.
Another quality product from the CariMed Group Consumer Division.
Become a transformational leader in your chosen field with the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean UCC internationally accredited MBA program in over 7 areas of specialization: human resource management, accounting, marketing, healthcare management, and more. Plus, this program is fully accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. Are you ready to begin your next journey discovering intellectual growth and applied learning? Apply online today at ucc.edu.jm or call 876-906-3000. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
Welcome back to Decision 2025 CVM's coverage of the very latest in the counting of the ballots from this year's election. I'm currently standing at the decision table with Christoph Simpson of Lands. He'll be helping us to crunch the numbers, analyzing some of the marginal constituencies as well when we begin that part of our program. And next to him, former Director of Elections, Orrick Fisher. He was Director from 2007 to 2018. And I want to go straight into it with you, Mr. Fisher. So it's now 5:30. At 5 o'clock when we said, you know, voting has now ended, it didn't fully end because whosoever is inside and in the line would be allowed to stay and complete their votes. So about how long does that process take to complete usually?
Okay, well, as your correspondent said, a police would go to stand at the end of that line to ensure that no one can join the line. And once all the voters would have voted, and that would depend on how many voters you will have online, then the closing the poll activity actually starts, where the presiding officer, poll clerk, they have a lot of paperwork to do to make sure that they account for all that is given to them in terms of the supplies and package them in order to send them back to the Director of Elections. And then very importantly, they need to balance the poll book. And in doing that, they need to account for all ballots that were issued. So if, for example, they had received, say, 100 ballots and 50 people voted, so many spoiled, then they would definitely have to balance the poll book to show that all the ballots are accounted for and that none will be missing. And it's only after that has been done that the counting will start.
Gospel Brown is now in the position that you held for several years. What would be his role right now? What was your role at this moment as the voting ended? We know it's now time to start checking the ballots, checking the numbers. What would be your role in terms of coordinating what's happening throughout the island?
Well, in terms of what is happening throughout the island, you have the returning officers who will be responsible for the constituencies. Mr. Brown presently would be at the election center, and he will be getting reports from all different areas if there's anything that needs his attention, as well as working with the technical team to ensure that there are no hiccups in terms of what is happening as the results are sent in. So anything that is a little off, it brought his attention, that might need his attention, that he would focus on. But essentially, he'd be watching the results coming if there's nothing untoward taking place.
Okay, so it's about 5:30 right now. In your experience, about what time should we start expecting the numbers and to start coming in from the various constituencies and divisions?
I think they should start coming in at any time. It usually takes about half an hour to 45 minutes for the close of poll activities to take place. And of course, it would vary to some extent based on the experience of the polling staff. Those who would have worked in several elections will be able to get through that process a lot quicker. And so at any point in time, the vote counting will start. And the ones who would come in first will depend on the number of voters and the speed with which the staff will count. So for example, if you have a very small polling station with say 50, 60, 70 people voting, those would be quickly counted and will be coming in early. The larger ones will take obviously a little more time, but the experience and the efficiency with which the staff works also plays a critical role in terms of the timing of the results coming in.
All right, Christoph Simpson, I want to bring you in here. We're looking at the voter turnout right now. In 2016, we had a turnout of 48.37%. 2020, one of the lowest in recent times, 37.85%. At 3 o'clock today, the EOD said the voter turnout was 30% or thereabouts. In terms of the voter turnout this year, what are you expecting to see?
I heard another update that it had reached 40-something at a certain time, so it should exceed 2020. Not sure if it's going to reach 2016. I highly doubt it will reach a level that it was in 2011 because it has been trending down generally.
We've already exceeded 2020's voter turnout, Mr. Fisher. In terms of getting the final count, about what time do we usually get that? How long does that take to tabulate?
The way it is done now, those figures should be coming in, I would say by about 10:30. And again, it's dependent on the efficiency with which the staff works. But then you have to bear in mind, all these results are preliminary and the counting will be done by different individuals. So you have over 7,000 teams working in the different polling stations, and therefore there may be a little discrepancy here or there, and therefore it cannot be considered final until after the returning officers actually carry out the count, starting the day after the election. But I'd say by about 10:30, which we have a pretty good idea as to what the turnout is.
And that's the big news that we are all looking forward to, what's happening by 10:30. So then, we're now heading over to Nika Lewis at our analysts table with our analysts. Nika.
Thank you, Gio. You are not too far off. These are very analytical minds. They are considered knights of my round table. And these knights include Damian Gordon, Mr. Jermaine Barrett, and Mr. Lloyd B. Smith. Welcome back, Mr. Smith. And these are all political commentators. And so one of the questions that would have surfaced, certainly after listening to Gio at the decision desk, is as it relates to that 48.4% voter turnout that we are now hearing Firstly, Mr. Lloyd B. Smith, former parliamentarian and so many other hats, what do you make of this figure in our recent political history, and what should Jamaicans be thinking about having heard this figure this time around?
Well, if the 48.4% holds out, it would have been an improvement of sorts, albeit still regrettable, because one would have expected at least 50 to 51% based on the type of energy that was coming from both parties' bases. It may well mean that there were some factors that militated against persons going out to vote. I've heard one or two candidates, for example, complain that some people left because they had to wait too long, the sun was too hot, and that sort of thing. So I don't know the extent to which this may have, sufficiently created a deficit in terms of the overall percentage. But certainly, whatever.
If it pans out to be quite so,
if it
because these are early numbers that we're getting and speculations.
But at this point in time, I'm not overly excited by what I hear, because based on the energy that was out there in the field before today, one was expecting an overwhelming response from the electorate, and I'm not sensing it at this time.
Mr. Barrett, I want to bring you in just before Damian. So what were your hopes when you heard about the campaigning period and all of that went on in the campaigning period, the debates, all of that? Did you anticipate less voter apathy?
Yes, I was hoping that there would be vastly less apathy. I'm agreeing with Lloyd B. Smith, given the investment of energies and efforts right across the landscape. I mean, people were just being inundated with the political messaging, both on social media, traditional media. Everybody was caught in a frenzy. And so it is disappointing, to say the least, that the numbers are that low. I mean, look at, for example, elections in our Caribbean jurisdictions like Guyana. They are seeing robust numbers coming out, and so I'm not sure. I think the issue of voter apathy is chronic, has become systemic in Jamaica. It needs to really be studied, and it's something that, in my estimation, threatens the health of the democracy.
We also have to be mindful that Guyana found oil, we didn't find it.
That is true, but even other small Caribbean islands, they have larger turnouts at their elections, their general elections. They do.
Right, Mr. Gordon, what do you make of the early data that we're seeing, and who really should be concerned about what's happening now?
Yeah, so 48%, the last estimate I saw in terms of the voter turnout would have been 30% at 3 p.m. So I'm not sure where the 48% came from. But
lots of sources.
Lots of sources, yeah. Right. But if the turnout is as 48% at the end of the night, that would take us back to our pre-pandemic turnout level, which was 48% or thereabout, which is under the 50%, which indicates the persistent voter apathy. I traveled through 7 constituencies to get here today after having voted in St. Mary, and I did not see anything on the ground that would indicate to me that there was any that the turnout is going to be extremely high. Everything I saw on the ground appeared to be just normal. Apart from the persons I saw in party colors, most persons were going about their business normally. Okay. So I didn't see the sign. Business as usual. So I didn't see the sign to suggest to me that the turnout was higher than normal.
Okay. I'm going to have to pause you there, because I understand that Gio is getting some insight.
All right, thank you so much, Nika. So, well, the insights that I want to get are from my 2 partisan commentators here. Well, more than commentators, Cleveland Tomlinson is the campaign spokesperson for the People's National Party, and beside him, Titania Clark is a member of the JLP Communications Task Force. Ms. Clark, before the program started, I told you I needed to tell me what's happening in your WhatsApp groups, what are the messages coming in, what's happening inside the JLP right now at the end of polls.
And I promised you after 5 p.m., so that was my fault. Confidence, we are waiting to see the results, but confidence, I think together as a party, we believe we've put together the right set of tools and the sweeter team. So it's really just to wait and see if the Jamaica people have chosen Jamaica and decided to choose the Jamaica Labour Party.
You mentioned the sweeter team. Cleveland Tomlinson has been speaking about a suite of proposals that the prescriptions that the PNP has been putting forward. What's happening internally right now at the end of polls, Cleveland?
Yeah, we're very confident that we'll see some good results for us. We have looked extensively at what the challenges that the Jamaican people are facing. We have consulted, we have engaged extensively, and we believe that what we have put forward are solutions that resonate with them. So at this point, we're really looking forward to positive results.
Yeah. In terms of the party being able to bring out its base, that's been a big talk for members of the People's National Party. When we speak to them, you know, they never give the JLP any credit. It is never that the JLP won the election, but that the PNP base did not come out. Based on what you are seeing in your groups and the conversations you're having, did you manage to bring out your base today?
That narrative is a reasonable narrative to arrive at. If you examine the 2020 numbers and you look at the share of PNP votes relative to 2016, relative to 2016, you have seen a significant fall off. So I think there is some legitimacy to say that the fall in the PNP vote really contributed to the victory, the JLP's victory. With respect to whether we have brought out the base, I think so, for sure. We have used the time over the last 5 years to engage with the base. You would recognize that in 2020, the orange wall collapsed, and largely because of some internal challenges, the idiosyncrasies of the COVID-19 pandemic. So what we did over the last 5 years was to rebuild the unity within the party. You cannot deny that the party that has contested the election now, the PNP, is a united PNP relative to 2020. We think that that unity has really strengthened the focus of the comrades, and we think that they have come up today, and we're expecting that that positivity will be evident in the results this evening.
Okay, I want to hear a little bit more from the both of you. This is our partisan table. We'll be hearing from the members of both political parties right here. But for now, we're taking another quick break, and we'll be back right here on Decision 2025 on CVM TV. Stick and stay with us.
Your chosen field for the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean UCC internationally accredited MBA program in over 7 areas of specialization: human resource management, accounting, marketing, healthcare management, and more. Plus, this program is fully accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. Are you ready to begin your next journey of discovery, intellectual growth, and applied learning? Apply today at uct.edu.jn or call 866-9063,000. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
Hey, Truck, how those Duracell Optimum batteries working out? Whoa, now that is serious power. Try Duracell Optimum, our next generation of power.
Another quality product from the Caramel Group Consumer Division.
Welcome back to Decision 2025, CVM's coverage of the general election 2025. Jordan Fort is here with me at the Decision wall. Jordan, we're looking at some trends from 2002, and we're looking specifically right now at St. Thomas Western. Of course, this is a constituency where the incumbent member of parliament is James Robertson, and he's being challenged by the PNP's Hubert Williams. What is the data telling us?
Right, so if you remember, Gio, at the top we talked about marginal seats, and these are the 20 seats that we have identified based on the numbers of the last 5 general elections that we consider marginal seats. St. Thomas Western as you said, held by James Robertson, is one of those that we have identified. And this is why, if you look at the numbers and the trends, you will see where those two lines, the green line for the JLP and the orange line for the PNP, start to converge at certain points. And this is why we think that because of the data over the last 5 elections, this seat could possibly change hands. I know it's a eyebrow raiser as well, because people probably generally think that the JLP's James Robertson is secure in this particular seat, but we're looking at the raw numbers, and it's telling us that this one could possibly change hands.
Christoph Simpson, I want a comment from you on this particular seat. Based on what we're seeing right here, the JLP won comfortably in 2020. Why is this one so close? Why is it a marginal seat for people to watch?
Well, in 2020, there was a massive national swing to the JLP in general. The JLP performed really high in that election compared to other elections. But if you look at all the other 5 elections since the 2011 general, so as 2011 general, 2016 general, 2020 general, as well as the 3 local government elections since 2012 local government, 2016 local government, and 2024 local government. Outside of 2020, the margins between the two parties was always 850 votes or less. That is very, very slim.
What's your analysis on for this particular seat this time? Because I know you have what you call leaning JLP, leaning PNP, the marginals, and what you call toss-ups. What's your assessment of this seat? Explain why you've come to that assessment.
This seat, I have it classed as leaning JLP, which means I expect that it will go back to the JLP, but it's not impossible for the PNP to take it. If I start a trend line through all the results from 2011, the JLP would have it. If I started from 2016, the JLP would have it. But if I started from 2020 and account for the local government election results, the PNP could get it. It's not that the PNP performed better than the JLP in the last local government elections, because the JLP did actually get 731 more votes, but that's a slim margin, and it's a much slimmer margin than what the JLP won it by in the general election. So the PNP, you could say, trended up since the general election, and the JLP trended down, meaning PNP gained 948 votes, as in they received 948 votes more in the 2024 local government election than they did in the 2020 general election, whereas the JLP received over 1,100 votes less.
So, and based on that, do you think the PNP has done enough based on what you're seeing to last year to surpass the JLP this year, or is it not enough?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that because I'm using the data points. So what would really matter here is what they'll be doing on the ground, which that's not really data you can get. So the parties would have to speak for themselves, how much people they've canvassed and so on, how much people they're accounting for, and counting on to vote, and how many they actually turned out.
Okay, so we have some numbers coming in right now from Clarendon. Nika will be giving us the latest in terms of what the numbers are saying right now. Nika is at the decision wall or curve screen. Nika.
That is where I am, Gio, and we are looking at Clarendon Northwestern. Numbers are coming in, ladies and gentlemen. You're looking at the candidates. Richard Azan of the PNP with 74.6% of the votes, and that amounted to early numbers, 461 votes so far, 7 of 108 ballots counted. 24.4% of those votes have so far gone to the JLP's Warren Newby, amounting to 157 votes. We have Manchester Southern also coming up on the curve screen. That's the PNP's Peter Bunting out. Early days yet, but 2 of 120 boxes, and that's 67% of the votes going to Peter Bunting so far, 126 votes. And the JLP's Ian Ives, 32.5%, 61 votes. We look now to St. Catherine Southern, where we see the PNP's Fitz Jackson with 59.6% of the votes so far. Very, very early days, just giving you numbers. Delroy Dobney of the JLP securing 39.7%, 120 votes counted for him thus far. As we've said, very early days yet, Gio, but we have data coming in now from Westmoreland Eastern, with the PNP's Dr. Dayton Campbell securing 47.5% of the votes so far, 114 to be exact, and the JLP's Daniel Lawrence securing 119 votes, that's 49.6%. We go down to St. Elizabeth Northwestern. This is where we see Andrew Morris of the Jamaica Labour Party securing 71.9% of votes with 438, and the PNP's Patricia Scarlett Forster with 27.8%, and that's 169 votes. And that's early numbers, 8 of 87. We look to St. Thomas Eastern. That is where the JLP's Michelle Charles has amassed 40.2% of the votes, just over 115. Yvonne Shaw of the People's National Party coming in early now with 59.1%. It'll be interesting to see which divisions or polling stations these numbers came from. But as we've said, it's early days, 4 of 128. We throw now to Gio over at the barn door with the panel from the parties.
Well, thanks so much, Nika. And I want to get early reactions to what we're seeing so far. I heard your reaction just now when you saw that St. Thomas, Michelle Charles, you're like, yes, I expected that. Why did you expect that?
Yeah, because the voters have expressed consistently that they're dissatisfied with the quality of representation she has provided. In fact, I've worked in that constituency with her candidate, and the consistent narrative from the voters is that Michelle exhibits a degree of arrogance. She's not present in the community. The project that she committed to in 2020, she has not fulfilled. She cannot be accessed in a frequent manner. So I expect that we would have taken that seat, and I think what we're seeing with respect to the early numbers is pointing in that direction. Rosemary Shaw is also a very strong candidate. She won the by-election for the Bay division, and she has been working assiduously. So we expect that that should be counted within the column, in the column of the People's National Party.
Is it too early to call, though, for you, Titania Clark?
It's too early to call, but also I think it's not just, it wouldn't be limited to a personality for the seat. If you look at the numbers, Fredon Ferguson lauded himself as, what was it, 5-star? I think it's 5-star general. So as much as, yes, we listen to the voters and voters will have something to say about their current candidate, truth is they've always predominantly voted a particular way. And so the complaints, while you have the numbers here, you're looking at Michelle winning with a little bit over 1,200 votes in 2020. So again, you're looking at a seat that has been predominantly voting in a particular